guys, this is Lonnie Matthews coming back at you. This is actually the first video of the year for this channel, and of course, in normal standard fashion, I want to talk about goal setting because this is that point in the year where a lot of people like to have resolutions, try to set some goals. You reflect on the things that you wanted to accomplish last year and kind of decide whether or not did you accomplish them, and if you didn't, why not? So those are the things you want to be doing right now. But what I want to do is to bring to you 3 things that you must do to achieve more this year. 3 steps to achieve more this year. That's the purpose of this video. But before we actually get into those 3 steps, let's talk a little bit about goals and goal setting. Did you guys realize that 45% of Americans are going to set some type of resolution of goals? 45% right now. If we got about 350 million, 400 million folks here in the United States, about 200 million people right now setting some kind of goal resolutions, whether it's to get in better shape, get back into the gym. I want to, it's more prayer time, whatever, more meditation time. And definitely I want to save more money. Those are some of the more common goals. Pay down debt. Those are just some well worth goals to attempt to accomplish. But 45% are going to attempt to set some resolutions. And the interesting thing is the study shows that only about 1 in 5 individuals in June of this year will be on track to still accomplish the thing. So somewhere along the way between setting the resolution and actually accomplishing it, a lot of things happen, life happens, and people just kind of fall off the wagon. So that is the purpose of this particular video, is to share 3 tips, 3 things, 3 steps to achieving more, whatever that area of your life is. Now, me personally, I'm a personal finance expert, so that's where I'm going to continue to stay in my lane. But I promise you, these 3 steps will definitely allow you to achieve more if you give them a try. So let's just jump right in. Step number 1 is to begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey, a best-selling author, wrote a book a long time ago. I think it was 1989, 84, 85, 89. Somewhere in there, he wrote this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, he talked about how highly effective people, one of their 7 habits is they begin with the end in mind. So while we're sitting here right now at the top of the year, I want you, in order to achieve more, I want you to start by beginning with an end in mind. In other words, what do you see for yourself this time next year? Now, let's drill down. I'm going to, again, we spend more time specifically on personal finance, but this works in all the other areas. How much money do you see yourself having saved at the end of this year? This time next year, I want you to visualize the bank account, the savings account. How much money do you see in that? Can you even see money in a savings account? We'll talk about that later. So how much do you see? Begin with the end in mind. How much debt do you see being paid off? So what I want you to do right now, is to take a mental picture, visually think to yourself, this time next year, I want to have this much saved. And we're going to write that down. Goal not written down is nothing more than a dream. Write that number down. And then I want you to look at your debts, okay? Choose 1 or 2 of those debts and visualize the account balance being 0 this time next year on 1 or 2 debts. 1 or 2, right? 1 or 2. You got to begin with the end in mind. So now that you have that end result in mind, you got to come back to the future. Come back to the present. You just lived in the future. And now we got to decide, well, what do I need to do to have that end result? If my end result is to have $2,000 in a savings account, and I don't know where you are financially or what your financial situation is, but if you don't have anything saved, I think $2,000 is a worthwhile goal. So can you visualize yourself having a savings account over here with the extra $2,000 just sitting in there? So you got to have that vision. Begin with the end in mind, right? So that's step number 1. Now that we have gotten a clear picture of what we want, we've got a clear picture of how much we want to have in our savings account. We have a clear picture of which 1 or 2 debts are going to be paid off. Now the next step would be to set smart goals. You want to set SMART goals. SMART, SMART goals. Now, if you've ever taken any type of goal setting class, then you already know what that acronym stands for. The acronym basically stands for, SMART stands for specific. The first thing your goals have to be is specific. The next thing is measurable. You have to be able to measure your goals. That's why you can't say, I want to save more. How much is more? More is relative. It needs to be a measurable amount, like $2,000. And then the next goal is achievable, right? Is it something that I can accomplish? Well, yeah, absolutely. You have everything you need to be able to save $2,000. The reason you have not saved $2,000 is because you never set a goal to save $2,000. It was only an idea. So you got specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to something. Is it relevant to something? Yes, it's relevant to a better financial future. It's relevant to not having to panic when the emergency comes up. You take your car to the mechanic and he says it's going to be $455 to get it fixed and you have no money saved. Well, then now this becomes relevant. And then the last thing is time bound. Put a time limit on it. So we have from now until the end of this year. That is our time frame for these goals. So you want to set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so that's the next step in the process. So step number 1, begin with the end in mind. Step number 2, set some SMART goals. Let's break that goal down because I don't want to leave you hanging. Let me break this down for you. So let's say you wanted to have $2,000 saved. Again, that's just an arbitrary amount. Whatever amount you feel like you want to save that you can comfortably save. I will say this. When you set goals, they should be a stretch, right? The goal should give you just a little bit of angst. There's a saying that say if your goal don't make you scared, it ain't big enough. So you got to set an amount that's scary. Not impossible, but you're like, oof, that's going to be tough, but I can do it. I can do it, right? And I'm willing to make the sacrifice, all right? So let's break this down. Let's say if you wanted to save $2,000 in 12 months. So let's say you get paid every other Friday. That means you get paid bi-weekly. If you get paid every other Friday, then that means you're going to get 26 paydays in a year. If you get paid semi-annually, meaning 15th and the 30th, that means you're only going to get 24 paydays in a year. The salary is the same, it's just different amount of paydays. And then, of course, if you get paid monthly, you're going to get 12 paydays in a year. So however you get paid, you can use that number as the denominator in this example. But we're going to use the bi-weekly because that's when most people get paid. So we're going to take $2,000, right? Divide it by 26 because remember, you're going to get 26 paydays in a year. And then once you divide that number, you're going to get $76.92. So what does that mean? That means that in order for you to have $2,000 by the end of this year, 12 months, all you have to do is save $76.92 a payday. Now that you have that number in your mind, you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that's not bad. That's doable. Absolutely, it's doable. But the question is, what are you going to do different to make that happen? What are you willing to sacrifice right now to be able to save $76 a payday? Is that money somewhere in your budget? Absolutely it is. That means you're going to have to spend some time now to find that $76. You're going to have to spend some time to decide what you want to cut back on. You're going to have to dig deep inside that I want to change who I am. And part of me changing who I am is changing the habits that I've created at this point. That's the only way you're going to be able to accomplish anything more than what you've already accomplished. So step 2 is set some SMART goals. And then you break that SMART goal down just like I just showed you. And then the last step, step number 3 is start now. Very simple step. Start now. Not later, not next payday, not next week. Right after watching this video, get committed. Start now. A quick riddle. There are 3 frogs on a log, and one of the frogs decided to jump off. My question to you is, how many frogs remain on the log? 3 frogs on a log, one frog decided to jump off. How many frogs remain on the log? Well, I'm going to tell you, there's still 3 frogs on the log. You see, that one frog simply decided to jump off, but he never did. Oftentimes we decide to do things, but we never do them simply because we don't have a goal And furthermore, we don't even have a plan to accomplish the goal behind it. And that is why we end up not doing as much as we possibly could. So these 3 steps, I promise you, if you implement them, they will work. I've been doing this for the last 15 years. Every time this point of year, I just sit down and decide what areas of my life and get committed to it. I mean, and that's the key. You have to be committed. So in order for this thing to work, these steps, which reminder, the steps are number 1, begin with the end in mind. Number 2, set some SMART goals. And number 3, begin now. Now, along with those steps, you also need to have the fundamental belief that you can do this. You have to have the fundamental belief that this is possible, right? And then after that, you got to have the faith that it's going to work itself out. Have faith that it's going to work itself out. And then the last thing is just do the work. Do the work. Have a fundamental belief, have faith, do the work. Fundamental belief, have faith, and do the work. Okay, guys, that's the video for this month. I hope these 3 steps are very beneficial as you sit down and start your goal setting journey. Spend some quiet time, begin with the end in mind, set a SMART goal to accomplish it, and then start when? Start now. Thanks.